Everybody, so John Dvor. So I'll just start with a quote. So one of my best mentors, founder of iRobot, can you hear me? Okay. So he said, there's an old quote that he thinks the best robots will be like insects. They'll be hyper specialized, right? I used to work at iRobot with the founder about 16 years ago. So I can't claim that I know the future of AI, but what I can claim is I'll give some examples what I think are some of the best opportunities. That's a great investment opportunity, but also pretty scary in AI. So I was an investor in a company that was really a competitor to Intuitive Surgical. I was early investor SSI. So they just IPO'd a few months ago. It's a US-India surgical robot company. It's now a unicorn. What's exciting about it is it's a very successful opportunity. It's innovation in surgery. Something a bit scary though is that it does take away. There's a long list of other types of jobs within healthcare, and that it can erode away. So I think I'll just preface by saying, what scares me is not just low education jobs, but also some high education jobs that are already being eliminated in certain areas of AI in healthcare. I think that's something that we need to.
Can you give an example of a higher, where it's not, because you think they could be leveraging it?
Mid-level surgery associates. So not surgeons, but surgery, some of the staff within surgical suites. So in a surgery suite in a hospital, a major hospital in the United States, there's many, many people. Well, some of the robots can start taking away some of those jobs, actually. Those can be very highly paid, mid-level healthcare jobs. This is a very serious issue. I'll give another example. So I am an investor in a company in the cardiac sonography space. So it's totally revolutionizing how cardiac sonography, it's an Israeli company called Ultrasight. So they're revolutionizing all cardiac sonography. So it's a great opportunity. It's making Cleveland Clinic and Mayo Clinic Ventures, these are all investors and partners in this business. It also is taking away certain mid-level healthcare jobs that are very stable mid-level jobs, someone that might have only a two-year education. This is a very big problem. It doesn't get enough press. So I'd say in private investing, there's incredible AI opportunities. There's very good jobs that are going to, it's not happening in the future. It's happening right now. Jobs are being lost. So I think that's something I wanted to share.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, so my answer is, so AI has an unbelievable power to help. That's what I'm very excited about. Conversely, it also has an unbelievable power to destroy. So the question is, whose hands do you put it in? In my particular space, you get AI wrong, people die. And that's the reality. And so about a year ago or 8 months ago, Apple got something wrong. They were giving people wrong flight information. So they had to dial it back. Again, in my industry, you give the wrong information, well, people die.
Some people don't know your industry.
I'm in the sobriety and addiction space, right? We have about 360,000 members in sobriety and addiction. And so guardrails, people who are implementing AI to fluff up valuations, massive problem. People who aren't putting in necessary guardrails, massive problem. People, when it comes to PII and PHI data that aren't protecting their data correctly, massive problem, because then in my space, people that who are having challenges in addiction and don't want their employers to know if that PII gets released, we're screwed.
Well, how are you solving for that then?
Well, so with Lucid, we now have, very thankfully, AWS has funded the solution architects that's funding our AI currently to put those systems in place. Because I was very skeptical of AI about a year ago, because I was like, how are we if we know what it takes to get people sober, how can we replicate that, and how is AI not going to screw up? And I'm a non-technical founder, right? We have a great tech team, but I'm not a technical founder. So I was very skeptical. If I put this in the hands of 17 million sessions to date, if we give the wrong data, we're screwed. But now I see the power of AI. I see that if we do it correctly, I will say one thing. There's a very specific way to get people sober that's been working now almost 100 years. And it becomes impossible to replicate that until now. So with the SAM technology, we created it stands for Sobriety and Addiction Mentor, a daily accountability tool to keep you on track with your sobriety, but we're training that as a predictive relapse agent that detects patterns that I never knew technology had the ability to do. So it's tremendously exciting what AI can do and what machine learning can do. But again, in the wrong hands, very bad.
So, Rafiq, I would call on Lubna, but she doesn't want to speak yet.
Should we split?
But yeah, rock, paper, scissors for it.
Thanks, guys.
You give it to her.
Hey, all. I'm Rafiq, DePaulo Ventures. So we invest in early stage tech, right? So some of our portfolio companies are finding AI use cases. But you know what I want to say on this topic is until about a month ago, I was not an AI expert. I was not speaking on AI forums until I met Mark, and now I am, so that's great. AI can rapidly change trajectories, including careers. But for several years before that, we were involved with AI. We used to call it machine learning. We used to call it computer vision. We used to call it predictive maintenance. You know, we were inferring a lot of things from data. So at the end of the day, that's just one comment I want to make. Another one is there's so many disconnects, I think, right? When we say AI, it means so many things. There's basic stuff, there's advanced stuff, there's level one. You want to hear Jensen Huang talk about it. There's you know, a lot of disparity in what people refer to when they say AI. But I see disconnects in frameworks, like who is actually creating guardrails, and then do you do it by industry? Do you do it by geography? Do we do it at a global scale? What Parth brought up, what do you do with people who are not going to be needed for lots of kinds of jobs? And it's not just India has, you know, hundreds of millions and we have fewer. It really would be across the globe. But at the same time, I'm also optimistic because there are so many things we can now do. I have a startup that is a Polish company. We photograph vehicles and we use a robot to do it, and so you get a really high fidelity image of a vehicle for rentals, auction houses, dealerships. It's called Vumo. And they didn't start with AI, but they had a lot of data. And so what you do when you have a lot of data, you start looking at what can I do with it. So now they're listening to engine noise to see, hey, are there, you know, predictive maintenance issues, just like you would with any kind of industrial application. So one, super interesting, the types of things we'll be able to do. Two, there's too many disconnects, too many levels of misunderstandings of what it is. And three, yeah, it should scare the shit out of everyone because the world is really going to be changing much more rapidly when it comes to jobs and everything else. Last comment, but maybe manufacturing will come back to it.
Yay. So what was the question exactly?
What scares and excites you about AI?
Oh, well, so my background is in systems analysis and design and interactive telecommunications. In the very beginning earlier in my career, I designed decision support systems, real-time decision support systems decision support systems that accelerated detection of fraud from detection to response from 5 to 7 days by time we print and distribute to a matter of hours, because it was dynamically allocated, decisions were made, and the recommendation was made to the agents. So we did not replace the agent.
Lubna, we can't hear you back here.
We did not replace the agents with automation. We augmented the agents' capacity and enabled them to be more productive in their work. So the question isn't what AI is doing to us. And if you listen to us speak, we are already saying AI is doing to us. So we've already exonerated ourselves from the responsibility of how we are framing our newest case. And by the way, it's already exceeded our capacity. It's smarter, it's arguably more beautiful, especially those of us who care about longevity and looking pretty than It's going to look pretty forever. It's smarter. It's faster. It has quantum. You got to think of technology as a stack. And what it does as an enabler horizontally when it partners with science. That's why it's STEAM. And the arts, how we're expressing, and culture, and how we socialize, and how we localize. And localization happens, by the way, from the roots down, up, not from us telling. So there's so many ways I can rabbit holes. I can go down here, but I don't want to take up so much time. All I can say here, I'll ask you to ask ChatGPT or your favorite AI friend to look at The Alternate, which is a paper I wrote for a chapter in a book on the role of enterprise in future cities. It was published like in 2014, but just ask, if you go to Alternate 2 L's, it stands for all people, places, and things, connected, aware, and addressable, and all the data that's being generated, and what role do you want to play in your life. We talk about surveillance, we talk about e-health, we talk about government, we talk about, I touched on very little because I was late. But I asked people to think about what role they want to play in your future. And this is the most powerful time ever. And the only time we have is not back then, it's not tomorrow, it's right now. And I'd like to ask all of you, it's not to look at each other and say, ooh, what am I going to get out of him or her? But what can we unlock together? And there is immense power. I'm an empath, and I feel you all, and I thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, who do I give it to?
So the next question really was an insight on AI that you think we all should know, or manufacturing. Start on this side. That, yeah, it's about those, so just something you think we really should be focused on, that you're excited about, or scared, but it's not about scared and excited, just what's something that we don't think we're focused on right now?
I think one thing to consider is there's a lot of talk about emerging markets today, and I think something really important to note is that some of the best deals that I've seen that I've invested, or at least I know of, it's not an issue of a company being started abroad and come to U.S. or a U.S. company going abroad, but actually using data sets that are a company abroad that may have gone public, say, on U.S. markets and is not so affected by the policy issues of U.S. I mean, a good example is, so there's some AI companies that were started in Asia, and they're not focused on U.S. first, and they're actually, sometimes some of these companies in South Asia or East Asia, they're able to expand faster in other emerging market companies first, and they're actually even not focused on the U.S. data sets first. There's a lot of overwhelming emphasis, especially on on Asia, U.S., Europe, and so on. But a lot of the best companies in this arena, AI, are actually focused on similar economies. So they could be in Americas, Central Asia, South Asia, Africa, and so on. And there's some excellent companies in this arena that are easily missed. If they aren't going to be covered in Bloomberg, but they're going to be covered more in the specialized investors. And so we do a lot of work in UAE at my family house, for instance. So like in Dubai, for instance, Global Ventures is a really great example. It's Lebanese-born investor, and the deals they're doing, they're all Middle East first. So they're not US focused or Asia focused or Europe focused. They're really Middle East and emerging markets focused. And there's a lot of great investment opportunities in that broader area, especially in data sets for AI.
But I'm just curious, but is it truly innovative or just copying a model?
I think it's innovative in the sense that they're focused on the data sets that are most relevant for the middle economies, I think.
Okay, so it is innovative.
A couple things. First of all, sometimes the most simple thing could be the most powerful. I'll speak again for what I do. Addiction is a disease of isolation. At 2 a.m, someone wants to reach their sponsor's asleep. They try to reach their 6 friends in sobriety. They can't reach out to them. And so again, and I'm all so fascinated by this because I've learned over the last year the power, and we said, okay, how can we build an empathetic avatar if addiction is a disease of isolation, that you could speak to Sam all night. I feel like using. I don't know what to do, right? Because there's shame and guilt involved, and I don't want to admit to my friend that I feel like using. Well, when you're able to have and speak to an empathetic avatar all night, right, it will save a life. What also is very interesting is we're now, kind of Jasmine referred to how AI goes kind of everywhere, right? So now in this new iteration coming up, it integrates with Apple Watch or whatever it may be. So if your heart rate's elevated, and the more you give Sam, the more it knows what your predictive relapse will be, and it'll say, wow, Mark.
Wait, are you connecting it to?
Yeah, yes. It seems like your heart rate's a little elevated. It used to be you're coming close to a bar that you used to drink at. Why don't we try a breathing session with Brain Tap? And we have 36 partners in the sobriety and wellness space, brain science apps, brain fitness apps. And so the AI can move them around to whatever they need. So again, it's just the intelligence that it can move everywhere. I will say one last thing. We just finished an addiction series with Brain Tap to have that AI kind of act as to deal with social anxiety when it comes to sober dating. It's fascinating, right? So AI just has the ability to make things better in the right hands.
I mean, slightly humorous, but there's some people that are getting divorced because the AI really understands me better than my spouse.
I guess I have a couple of use cases I could talk about, but I want to say that, people ask, do you invest in AI? It's like asking, do you invest in things that work on the internet? Because we start with hard tech, that's what we do, but then obviously there's software, there's the internet, and also, where it makes sense, AI. So I think this putting a .ai at the end of...
I'm just looking at Ryan again. Your principal is skeptical of AI and prefers the hard tech.
Yeah.
Extremely. Yeah.
So,
which is ironic because he's an engineer by trade.
Yeah.
well, it's probably because it's gotten a bit overhyped, and if you look at where venture deals are going...
Tell us about
it's like-
manufacturing. That's what you love.
Yeah, so in manufacturing, where it makes sense, I mean, there's so much going on around just making processes faster, right? Or needing less people. So let's talk about this bill, and I'd love to hear Greg's take on it. So now you've got tax credits for bringing, 100% you set up to $1 million or whatever, up to $4 million. So you think we're now going to start manufacturing plants, and we will, and there'll be great ways to sort of bundle that into investments. But what we're going to end up doing is, looking for people, and then you have to train them. So there aren't that many folks that maybe want to do some of these jobs. Training them will take time. Tax credits may run out. I mean, so it's not a direct path. When we look at supply chains coming back to the US, pandemic was a great point where supply chains needed to be redone, and even before then. People have been trying this for years, right? So I just think that there's going to be a lot more robotic jobs. There's going to be supervisory jobs, but you're not going to have lines and lines of people. So in manufacturing, on the positive side, really
Take chips. The chips manufacturing. We don't have that talent. How do we build that talent pool?
You're not going to build that talent because you've just shut down university programs that bring the best and the brightest minds to this country. And you're just not. So, or if you are, then it's going to take a hell of a long time. Here. Anyway, no, I would say on the positive side, just the speed at which healthcare is moving, for instance, what you can do to reduce product development times, whether it be manufacturing or health or anything else, that's fascinating. And then, your example of using the watch, we have a dual-use startup called Ascent. It tells firefighters or war fighters, their commanders, what the biometrics are of the team, who's down, who's hurt. And they have a watch that they get, communications on. So this kind of integration and then having some predictive data around it, it's just going to be normal. So, yeah.
All right, take us home, Lubna.
Well, the power is in your hands. So I went to school for systems because I figured information communication technologies will help us. That's how I can help people externally because I wasn't going to be a doctor anymore. Information and communication technologies like AI, like quantum, like all of these technologies are there for us to apply and for us to use in whichever way we choose. Now, the economic models are our basis, our incentives. If they are exploitative and extractive, first of all, what we're teaching and what we will get is exploitative and extractive, and it's more powerful, so it'll find a way to extract and exploit. That is, if we give it the autonomy. But today we know the machine is controlled by whoever controls. In my paper, I say control the data, control the power. Today, we need to make sure that every individual has the ability to control their data, and for them to, at the end of the day, we created technology to simplify everyday life, not to add to the clutter of it or to make corporates richer at the expense of humanity and the planet. Like, wake up. Money is not meant to be hoarded. It's meant to ebb and flow. So if we shift our mindsets, I say if we shift where we place emphasis and how we measure value, then richer together rather than each other, competing to complete outcomes, we can accelerate which way we do. And then it doesn't matter. It's not about taking jobs away. It's about reapplying our resources, giving more time, redistributing. We need to, our bases are off. Things are no longer in time and space. Everything is happening at an exponential space. Our existing models don't work. We tried to do this when we first got .com. We tried to measure it. First, we didn't want it. Then we tried to measure it like we do print and paper and radio. Then we got around to it. Then mobile came around. We don't want it. We don't want it. I've been at the front of all of that. My specialty has been cross-sectoral collaborations, bringing different industry together that facilitated this digital economy. So you have the power today to redirect the trajectory. Where do we invest? Is it in weapons or is it in healing? There is,
So the women on my team say that we need a break.
Okay, done.
So we're looking at taking a break. Stretch will take 15. We have 2 more panels and then breakouts. But I feel, just the humidity a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm tired. Besides, we still have a party.
But thank you to the panel for kicking off this discussion. Come join our 361 firm community of investors and thought leaders. We have a lot of events created by the community as we collaborate on investments and philanthropic interests. Join us.